2022, someone filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the United States Geological Survey. They asked for 10 years of raw seismic data from Yellowstone. FOIA requests are supposed to be answered within 20 business days. This one took 4 months, and when the answer came, chunks of it were blacked out. The reason written on the document, national security. Let that sit for a second. National security for a volcano. Nobody followed up. Nobody in Congress asked why. Nobody in the press thought it was worth a headline. And that tells you more about this story than anything the USGS has ever published. Subscribe if you want the version of this story they never put in the press release. Here is what the official picture looks like. Yellowstone sits over a supervolcano. The caldera is about 40 miles across. Underneath it, a magma chamber. The USGS monitors it constantly. They post updates online, weekly reports, real-time seismic feeds. On paper, it looks like the most watched piece of ground in America. The issue is what watching actually means when the people doing the watching get to decide what you see. The USGS does not run Yellowstone monitoring alone. It operates through something called the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, a consortium that includes federal agencies whose names are not fully disclosed. The published record says they provide support. What kind of support is not specified? Which agencies exactly is not specified? Why that information is absent from public record is not specified. This is not a foreign country with no transparency laws. This is the United States. FOIA exists for exactly this reason. And yet, the answer to who is involved in monitoring the most dangerous geological feature in North America is some agencies. Trust us. Now, let's talk about the data itself. The seismic network under Yellowstone is one of the densest anywhere. Over 30 stations running continuously. Some of that data hits the public domain within minutes. Processed, filtered, cleaned up, ready to read. Raw data is a different story. Independent researchers who requested unprocessed archival recordings received 2 kinds of answers. Some got what they asked for. Others got back a letter. The letter said the data had not passed internal verification and could not be released. If data fails verification, that is a result, that is information. In any functional scientific institution, a failed verification triggers more investigation, not a closed door. So what exactly failed? What did the raw signal look like before it was processed into the version we are allowed to see? Nobody has answered that. Nobody has been made to answer it. If you want to know how normal people find out their government is keeping something quiet, it is usually not a whistleblower. It is a pattern of non-answers, and there is a very clear pattern here. Drop a comment if you have ever tried to access government geological data and hit a wall. Now, 3 moments that did not get the attention they deserved. 1985, the biggest earthquake swarm in the documented history of Yellowstone monitoring. Over 3,000 tremors across several months. Official conclusion, hydrothermal fluid movement, not a precursor, nothing to worry about. That same year, several geysers changed their behavior permanently. Some stopped. New ones appeared in locations with no prior activity. Also hydrothermal, also normal, officially. And also that same year, a set of research boreholes giving direct access to the hydrothermal system were decommissioned, quietly, without public announcement, right after the largest seismic event in recorded park history. Timing is not proof, but timing is a question, and nobody asked it. 2003. The ground inside the caldera started rising 7 centimeters a year. Geologists call this inflation. It happens. It is part of how these systems breathe. But 7 centimeters annually is at the high end of what gets recorded. USGS said it was being monitored, said it did not indicate elevated risk. A few months later, Trails in the inflation zone were rerouted. Boardwalk damage from geothermal activity, said the Park Service. But some of those trails stayed closed long after the boardwalks were repaired. Nobody asked why. 2018. The USGS published an updated risk assessment for Yellowstone. Long document, technical. Most people never read past the summary. In the 2005 version, there was an entire section on partial eruption scenarios, not the full catastrophic event, smaller, but still enough to cause serious regional damage. That section is not in the 2018 version. Not moved, not summarized elsewhere, not refuted, gone. No footnote, no explanation. When a government agency removes a risk scenario from an official document without explanation, there are two possibilities. They determined it was not a real risk, or they determined something else. In 2011, one of the most respected researchers in Yellowstone geology gave a long interview to a major broadcaster. He said, "The degree of activity in the system exceeded what current models could fully account for." Every interview he gave after that was more careful, more reassuring. That specific framing never came back. Scientists refine their language, completely normal. But there is a difference between refining language and walking back the one sentence that implied the models might be wrong. In 2016, a team published peer-reviewed research in Science magazine. Not a blog, not a podcast, science. They proposed the upper magma chamber could be 30 to 40% larger than the USGS model indicated. The response from the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory was that the findings required further study. No joint research was announced, no follow-up collaboration. A peer-reviewed study said your volcano might be significantly bigger than you think. The official response was essentially, interesting, moving on. In any other context, that response would be a scandal. Here it was a Tuesday. So here is where we land. The USGS is not a criminal organization. The scientists who work there are not villains. The monitoring system is real, and it probably works. But here is what is also real. A FOIA request about Yellowstone seismic data was partially blocked on national security grounds with no further explanation. Federal agencies with undisclosed identities are involved in the monitoring of the site. Raw seismic data has been withheld from independent researchers, citing verification failures that were never explained. A risk scenario disappeared from an official document without acknowledgement. Research suggesting a larger magma volume received no coordinated scientific follow-up from the agencies responsible for public safety. None of that is a conspiracy theory. Every single item on that list is a documented fact. And together they point at one question that nobody in an official capacity has ever directly answered. If the data showed something that would cause mass panic, would the public be told? Not should they be told, not would it be ethical to tell them, would they actually be told? Write yes or no in the comments, just that. I want to see where this audience actually lands. And if this was the first video of ours you watched, you should probably not make it the last. Subscribe. We do not do reassuring. We do accurate,